Hey guys, this is ShadowEyes916. I'm here with Simon Knight, and we're going to be reading a creepypasta story of Laughing Jack. And this one has 25 chapters, and we're going to try to get as much done as we can, because of course we will be making videos separately, and it's going to be, depends on how long, and yeah, we'll make it. Alright, so we're going to get ready to read, and yeah, here we go.
You are sitting in front of your computer when your younger sister Emily barged into the room.
Shadoweyes, quickly look!
She shouted.
What?
You shouted back, annoyed. You love your sister, but she can sometimes be very annoying. But aren't all 7-year-olds siblings like that?
Look, I got candy. You want some?
You looked up at her smiling face, her blue eyes glittering with happiness and excitement. She's holding a bag full of hard candies, each in colorful wrappers.
Where did you get that? Mom bought it. She said we can have some before lunch.
You loved hard candies, but couldn't decline. Taking your favorite flavor from the bag, you unwrapped the paper around it and put the candy in your mouth. Emily took the same flavor as you. She always copies everything you do. She was looking up to you, but you weren't always trying to be the good older sister. Her constant copying annoyed you a lot, but no matter how much you tried to tell her, she just wouldn't listen.
I like this flavor. It's my favorite, she exclaimed. Let me just continue this part. Okay, sorry, people. Okay, continue. Yeah, well, it's my least favorite one.
You were lying, but you wanted to see her reaction.
Oh, you are lying, aren't you? What? Of course not.
Emily saw right through that, but you didn't care. You just wanted to go back to what you were doing before she interrupted you. But before you could do anything, your mother's voice called from the kitchen.
Shadoweyes, come here for a moment, please.
You growled, got up from the chair, and started walking to the kitchen, Emily following. Your mother was standing on the doorway, holding a piece of paper and some money.
Could you please go to the store and buy some groceries for me?
You reluctantly agreed, took the money and a piece of paper.
Can I come too?
Emily asked, with puppy dog eyes.
No, honey. Shadoweyes will be faster on her bicycle. But Mommy, please?
Your mommy sighed and looked up at
you. I'm sorry, people. Okay, continuing reading.
Okay. You can't really...
Sorry.
Okay.
Continuing.
You can't really figure out what she is thinking, but before you could say anything, you suggested.
How about you wait for me outside? You can play in your treehouse until I get back.
Emily agreed and went outside. With a sigh, you sat on your bicycle and heeled toward the grocery store. Time lapse. Pedaling and out of your breath, you took a turn and entered your street. Just a little longer, you thought to yourself.
It's okay.
Stopping in front of your house, you left your bicycle by the door and went inside. To your surprise, Emily didn't run to you. Happy that you're back, in fact, she wasn't anywhere to be seen.
Ah, Shadoweyes, you're back. Did you buy everything? Did you have enough money?
Your mother asked, approaching you and taking the bags from your hands.
Yeah, I did.
You asked simply.
Where's Emily? She isn't with you? I'm guessing that she is still in the treehouse then.
That struck you as odd. She really never liked to be up alone there. But you were thankful that you could get some free time from her. Giving your mother the change, you ran up the stairs into your room. From the window of your room, you can clearly see the treehouse and Emily inside of it. Her mouth is moving and she's looking up, like she is talking to someone taller than her. But you can't see anybody. Maybe it's one of the neighbor kids, you thought, and shrugged it off, closing the curtains. Half an hour later, you were listening to your favorite song by your favorite band. You love that song. And you were singing along, but then the sound of a door opening interrupted you. Your mother stepped into the room.
Lunch is ready. Go call Emily. Where is she? Still in the treehouse, I think. She is still there? You asked confused.
It isn't like her to stay up there for this long. Your mother shrugged and said,
She must have found something to entertain herself with. Go call her.
and with those words, she turned around and exited the room. With a sigh, you slowly walked towards the window and opened the blue curtains. When your mother said to go call her, she probably meant to go outside and call her, but she just couldn't bother. Besides, the treehouse isn't far away from your window, so Emily will hear you. It is still bright outside, and you can see the treehouse, but you can't really see inside through its windows. You turn to open your window and shout,
Emily, come inside. Lunch is ready.
Nothing. No answer. No sound. Nothing.
Emily, come down.
Nothing.
Emily.
How come she doesn't hear you? The treehouse isn't that far, just a few feet away from you. Your windows are at the same height, so you should be able to see inside. But why is it so dark? It's almost like there's a cloud of dark mist inside the house. Could it be on fire? But if it is, then there would be the specific smell of fire and burning wood. You started to panic, and if Emily's in there, you don't want to even think about it.
Emily!
Chapter 2.
Emily!
You screamed, your blue eyes widening in fear. A figure appeared in the mist. You can clearly see its outline approaching the window of the treehouse. The fog started to disappear, and you saw your little sister, standing with a wide smile on her face, her blue eyes staring at yours.
What is it?
She asked, still smiling. You were taken back by her happy appearance and carefree smile.
Are you alright?
You find yourself asking.
Yes, I am. Why wouldn't I be? Why didn't you answer me? I called you like a million times.
You feel frustrated and a bit stupid for thinking something horrible could have happened. Looking behind her, you see the dark mist is completely gone. You can again see the inside of the treehouse. You started questioning if the mist was there at all, or if it was just a figment of your imagination. Emily's voice brought your attention back to her.
I had to say goodbye to my friend.
Friend? Say goodbye? What is she talking about? You didn't see anybody leave the treehouse, nor can you see anyone inside of it, besides Emily.
Friend?
You asked, still confused.
Yeah, my friend Jack.
She answered happily, turning around and descending the ladder that connected to the treehouse in the soft grass. You watched as her feet touched the ground and running towards the front door of your house.
Who is Jack?
You thought to yourself, taking another look at the treehouse. Empty. Is Jack another one of Emily's toys? Or does she have an imaginary friend? Maybe Jack is one of Emily's friends. But if he was there, you should be able to see him. And she still didn't have her own cell phone. All those questions were running through your head as you turn around and walk out of your room into the hallway. Your sister's room is right beside yours, her bedroom door wide open. You took a quick look inside. Nothing out of the ordinary. Her bed by the window, with a lot of stuffed animals, half of which are scattered on the floor. A bag of candy that she offered you earlier is on her desk, but all the candy is already long gone, and all that's left is its colorful wrappings. You continue down the stairs and into the kitchen. Emily is already sitting with your mother, and your mother is putting spaghetti on the table.
Today we're having spaghetti, for your favorite.
She exclaimed with a smile on her face.
Where's Dad?
You asked, sitting down beside your sister.
He'll come home late tonight. Something broke down at the office, so he will be working longer.
You nodded and began eating. Your mother is a good cook, and you love almost everything she makes. You were eating in silence, but your curiosity got the better of you, and you just had to ask.
Emily, who's Jack?
She looked at you with those wide eyes and answered.
He's my friend. Yeah, I know you already said that.
You said with an annoyed tone.
Jack?
Your mother asked curiosity.
Is that someone from your school? No.
Emily replied.
He's a clown. A clown?
Your mother asked, turning her head towards you with a concerned look on her face.
Yeah, he's a very tall and skinny with messy hair and big teeth, and he is very nice and funny.
She said, and got back to eating her lunch.
Really? And where did you meet this clown?
Your mother asked, trying to keep a smiling expression. But you can clearly see that she is worried. You are worried as well. A clown in this part of town? It just doesn't seem likely.
In the treehouse, he came while Shadow Eyes was at the grocery store.
The rest of the lunch passed in silence. Both you and your mother were thinking about this Jack character, taking in consideration everything your little sister had told you. He sounds like an imaginary friend, but something was still bugging you. Something didn't seem right. Emily got up from her chair with one cheerful, "I'm going to my room." She went upstairs.
Shadow Eyes, can you help me with the dishes?
Your mother asked.
Of course.
You said quietly, still lost in thought.
You got up. Oh. Sorry.
You got up and started collecting the dirty dishes. A few moments passed before your mother spoke again.
Is Emily too old to have imaginary friends? I don't know. And if it's an imaginary friend, maybe if it is someone.
You can tell that she is worried.
No, I don't think it was anybody.
You said reassuringly.
When I called her for lunch, she didn't answer at first, and when she did, she said that she had to say goodbye to Jack, but I didn't see anybody in the treehouse except her.
You left out the missed part. Almost certain it was just the shadows playing tricks on your mind. After you finished helping your mother, you started walking up to your room. You stopped in front of Emily's room, listening. You could hear the faint laughter of your sister. You wanted to knock, but decided not to, and slowly and quietly as possible opened the door. Emily standing in front of her opened window, looking outside and laughing.
Emily?
You asked, uncertain of what you should do. She turned around and looked at you. Surprised, she took another glance through the window, and then turned her glance back to you.
You should have knocked, you know,
she said, irritated. She rarely used this kind of tone, so you were taken back by it.
I thought I heard something, so I came to check on you. I'm fine, don't worry,
she said, her tone a bit brighter.
Are you sure? Yeah.
A few moments passed.
Did you need anything? No, I didn't. Well, I'll be going now. Yeah, okay,
said Emily before you exited the closed door. Well, that was a bit awkward, you thought to yourself, before walking and entering your room. Approaching the window, you opened your curtains, taking a look outside. It was darker than before, but you could still see clearly. You took a glance towards your sister's window. It is closed now. What was she looking at? You quickly glanced over your yard. Nothing. Your glance fell on the treehouse. Nothing. Shrugging, you closed the curtains and sat in front of your computer. Time lapse. Something woke you up from your slumber. Growling, you took a look at your phone. 3:21 a.m. What is it at this hour? You always had a light sleep. Listening carefully, you could definitely hear something. It was faint, distant, yet distinct. What is that? Laughter, you suddenly realized. It was quiet, low, almost dark. It sounds like it is coming from outside. You slowly got up from your bed and quietly crept towards your window. You opened your curtains, just a bit, enough to see. It was dark outside. You almost stopped breathing as you listened for laughter. It's still there. It's more frantic than before, but still quiet. It didn't take you long to figure out where it's coming from. The treehouse. You squinted to see better, waiting for your eyes to adjust to the darkness. You can see it, a figure, leaning to the frame of the treehouse window, looking toward your sister's room. It's laughing. Your heart started to pound. He is wearing a black shirt with long striped black and white sleeves. black trousers with black suspenders. On his shoulders, there are some kind of black feathers. His hair is shoulder length, black and messy. His skin is white. His eyes are big, menacing and dark. His mouth curled into a big smile, revealing his razor-sharp teeth. He looked like a clown with no color. Your sister whined in fear. Your blue eyes whined in fear. The laughter stopped, a serious expression forming out on his face. He's looking towards Emily's window, when suddenly his head turned towards you. He glared at you for a moment. You didn't care to move. You didn't dare to move. You couldn't move even if you wanted to. You were standing there, frozen in fear. Then his lips curled into a wide smile, showing his sharp teeth. You closed your curtains and then ran towards your bed, jumping on it. You covered yourself with your blanket. This isn't happening. This isn't happening. It's not real. You kept telling yourself, It's not happening. It's not happening. Creak. You shut your eyes. What was that? Is he here? He can't be here. You can hear a chuckle and footsteps approaching you. No, 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 this can't be happening. It can't be, you thought to yourself, the soft laughter right beside your ear. You didn't dare to open your eyes. Maybe if you pretended to be asleep, they'll go away. Please go away. Please go away. Please go away. His laughter stopped, and you could feel his hot breath on your skin. I know you're awake.
Part 3.
Chapter 3. I know you're awake. A low and menacing voice whispered in your ear. Petrified by fear, you couldn't move. Don't you dare open your eyes and look up at the person this voice belongs to. But you can't just lie here and do nothing. Not while there's colorless clowns in your room. A low chuckle escaped from his mouth, his breath sending chills down your spine. Now or never, you thought to yourself before opening your eyes and turning your head towards the person you dreaded to see nothing. A quiet,
What?
escaped your mouth. Your room is empty. You blinked a few times. Nothing. There's nobody in your room. Were you just imagining things? No way. Not even you could imagine that. You looked around in the darkness once more. Nothing. You wanted to get out of this closet. You wanted to get out of bed, but before your feet touched the cold floor, you retreated them. What if he's under the bed? You're supposed to say that? What if he's under the bed? Or what if he's in the closet? You thought. Your childish fears seemed to upset you, now more than ever.
Relax, Shadowies, you can do this.
You said to yourself, getting up. While standing on your bed, you scanned the room. If you jumped, it would only take a few steps to get to the light switch.
You can do this, you can do this.
You reassured yourself, getting ready to jump. You sure can. You heard a deep voice and giggle. And a giggle. You could feel your blood freezing in your vein. That's it. You leaped for your bed and ran towards the light switch, turning the light on. You could face the owner of the voice, but you once again can't see anybody. Fairly confused, you took a few steps forward. Where did this voice come from? You took a glance towards your bed. You didn't dare come close to see it, fearing something would grab your leg and pull you underneath it. You knelt down, and with a deep breath, looked beneath it. Nothing. No monsters were hiding under your bed. Getting up, you walked towards your closet door. You take another deep breath and swung the door open. Empty. Where was this voice coming from then? You looked out the window. Closed. You approached it with cautious and quiet steps, opening the curtains a bit. You looked outside, at the treehouse. There is nobody there. No black and white smiling clown. You looked around the yard. Nothing. Where are you? You thought to yourself. Your eyes widened in fear, and realization hit you.
Emily?
You whispered, spinning around and running outside your room and barging into your sister's. You quickly looked around. Emily is lying on her bed, not moving. You feel her. You feel your eyes fill with tears.
Emily!
You whispered, spinning around and running outside of your room and barging into your sister's.
Sorry, one sentence missed. Okay, back one sentence, you guys.
Okay.
Continue reading. Emily!
You shouted, running toward her.
Emily, wake up!
You yelled, grabbing her by her small shoulders and violently shaking her.
Emily! What? Stop! What are you doing?
She said, still half asleep, grabbing your wrists, trying to pry them off her.
Emily, are you alright?
You asked, confused, but thankful she's alive. Removing your hands from her shoulder.
Yes, I am. Why would I be? I thought...
You shuddered, not knowing what to say. Your parents ran into the room, confused on their faces. Your father turned on the lights and asked, "What's going on? What happened?" You looked at your sister and then at him.
I thought something happened to her.
You said, suddenly feeling stupid.
I'm fine, Shadow Eyes.
Emily said, sitting up.
You had a bad dream, Shadow Eyes. It was just a bad dream.
Your mother said, hugging and comforting you. That night you didn't get any sleep. It wasn't just a bad dream. You knew it. There's something out there. You couldn't sleep. You tried, but every little noise alerted you, making you jump. Around 6:10 a.m., you decided that it's fertile to attempt to get some rest. So you got up. After getting dressed, you headed downstairs. Your mother was already awake and eating her breakfast. When she spotted you, she gave you a big smile.
Shadow Eyes, what are you doing awake this early? I couldn't sleep.
You admitted, putting your hands over your mouth while yawning. She gave you a concerned look.
That dream really shook you. Don't worry, it was just a dream. Yeah, right.
You said, looking away from her. You knew that it wasn't just a dream, but you couldn't really explain to her what you saw. She wouldn't believe you, or she'll think you're crazy.
What do you want for breakfast?
Your mother asked, changing the subject.
I'm not really hungry. You have to eat something. How about some cereal? Fine.
You said, not really paying attention to her.
Mom?
You started, deciding to tell her what's been on your mind for the whole night.
I think I saw Emily's friend.
Your mother looked at you, her eyes widening.
What? A little before you awoke, I saw a man in our treehouse. You looked like a clown with no colors. He noticed me and then...
You stopped, thinking for a moment. If you should tell her about the voice in your room, you decided not to. Because it seemed bizarre, and you needed her to believe you.
And then he disappeared. I got worried for Emily and wanted to check on her. And, well, you know the rest.
You looked in her eyes. She had an expression you couldn't really read. But you can tell she is lost in thought.
I talked to your father about Emily and her friend.
She stopped for a second.
We agreed that he is probably an imaginary friend, not real.
Saying the last word, a bit roughly, she gave you a small glare.
Are you sure you saw someone? That it wasn't a fragment of your imagination? Can you possibly say that there was someone? Because if there was, we needed to call the police, and they won't be happy if it turns out to not be real.
She is looking at you intensely, her voice steady and rough, but a concerned look in her eyes. You thought for a moment. You heard his voice twice. It can't be just your imagination. But even though you heard him speak, you didn't see him. You shuddered when you remembered his voice and his hot breath on your skin. Did you really imagine that? No, you didn't.
Yes, I'm sure he was there,
you finally said. Your mother looked at you, this time fear in her eyes.
All right then, I'll have to talk to your father when he wakes up.
You were shocked that she believed you, but you were also glad. You finished your meal in silence. After that, you went upstairs. Walking toward your room, you again stopped in front of your sister's room. Because you thought you heard something, you listened intensely, singing. Singing. Someone was singing.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought 'twas all in good fun. Pop goes the weasel.
Sing music first.
Okay, we are continuing with chapter 4.
You slowly open the door, peeking inside. Emily is sitting on the floor, facing away from you and singing that nursery rhyme. She never sang that song because you thought that it was stupid, and she always copied you. And did what you did. You knocked on the door before stepping in. Emily turned her head and gave you a big smile as you walked towards her. You smiled back, sitting down beside her.
Are you alright?
She asked.
Yes, I am. You? Last night you really scared me, but besides that, I'm fine.
She replied and smiled, putting a black and white lollipop in her mouth.
Where'd you get that?
You asked, suddenly wanting one yourself. She took that lollipop out of her mouth and smiled.
Jack gave it to me.
You felt your stomach turn.
What? Don't eat that.
You said and took the lollipop from her hand.
Hey, give it back.
She yelled, trying to snatch it back from your hands. But you stood and lifted your hand high above your head. You were taller than her, so it's easy to keep something out of her reach.
Give it back.
She yelled again, desperately trying to reach it. To no avail.
Emily, what the hell are you thinking, taking something from a complete stranger?
You were angry, furious at her, but mostly worried.
Jack is not a stranger,
She shouted, tears in her eyes. Even though you sometimes argued, you rarely, almost never yelled at her.
Not a stranger? Not a stranger? Emily, you met him yesterday. You have no idea who he is or what he wants. For all you know, he could be lying about his name, and this lollipop could be poisoned.
Emily stopped and looked at you for a few seconds. And then she started crying.
I'm sorry, Shadow Eyes. I'm really sorry. Please, don't tell Mom and Dad.
She pleaded, while putting her face in her hands. In that moment, your mother barged in the room, lifted a finger to her mouth.
Shh, don't be so loud. Your father is still sleeping, tired because he worked late last night. Now why are you shouting?
She asked, glaring at you. You quickly hid the lollipop behind your back, so that she wouldn't see it. You looked at Emily. She wiped her tears and looked at you with her sad eyes. You sighed and looked at your mother again.
Nothing. We just had a little argument, but we cleared it out.
You glanced at Emily. She smiled at you and nodded her head. Your mother raised an eyebrow, looking suspiciously at the both of you.
Okay then.
And with that, she left the room.
Thank you.
Emily muttered, looking down at her feet.
Just don't take anything else Jack gives to you, okay?
She nodded her head. You walked outside of her room, Emily giving a quick smile before closing the door behind you. You walked into the bathroom and threw the lollipop in the trash bin, wrapping it in toilet paper beforehand. You knew your parents wouldn't get suspicious if they saw a lollipop in the trash bin. Knowing that, you and your sister both love anything sweet and wouldn't let it go to waste. Time lapse. You could hear voices downstairs. One belongs to your mother, one to your father, but you didn't recognize the other two. You went downstairs. Your heart started to pound faster when you saw the two police officers in your living room. They were sitting on the couch, your father and mother on the chairs opposite of them. When they noticed you, their conversation increased. Shadow Eyes, come here, your father called to you, a small smile appearing on his lips. You listened and took a few steps forward.
Tell the others what you told us.
Your mother said.
About Jack.
And so you did. You told them about what Emily told you, and what you saw in the treehouse the night before. You left out the details about the mist and the voice in your room. There's no point in telling them that if you want them to take you seriously. While you were talking, they exchanged a few looks between themselves. Do they believe in your story? You hope they do. Would you mind if we take a look at the treehouse? One of them asked while standing up. Not at all, your father answered, also standing up. The five of them went outside. One of the officers climbed up the ladder of the treehouse. After some time, he went down. I didn't find anything out of the ordinary, but if something else comes up, or you see him, he said, turning to you, don't hesitate to call us. But before we can do anything, we need some evidence. He and your father exchanged a few more words, and the two officers were about to enter their car and leave, when all of them turned around and said, "Oh, and don't mention anything to Emily. It's better if she doesn't know that we were here. We can't risk her telling anything to Jack." And with that, they left. You walked up the stairs in your room, completely lost in thought. The police officers looked skeptical when you told them your story, but they didn't seem willingly to help. If you could find any evidence, you walked towards your bed and sat up. But they are right about one thing, you thought. If we're going to catch that clown, he mustn't know that we were onto him. But why not tell Emily? She's old enough to keep a secret. You got up and walked towards the window, looking at the treehouse, empty. But she seems to like this Jack, so she surely tell him that we were informed the police. It's better if she doesn't know, you sighed, and started walking towards your desk, wanting to listen to some music to get this off your mind, but you stopped dead in your tracks. There's something on your desk, a single hard candy wrapped in a striped black and white paper. You understood the message. It's already too late. He knows. 3 hours later. It's late outside. The darkness has consumed the light, and you are sitting in the living room, eating dinner and watching TV. Your appetite was lost when you saw that candy, which you threw away, but your mother made you eat. Finishing your meal, you put the dishes in the dishwasher and headed towards the bathroom. Hot shower is all you want right now. The bathroom is full of hot steam while you brush your teeth. You dreaded this night, afraid you'll see him again. You exited the bathroom and started walking towards your room. You passed Emily's door and stopped. She was standing in front of the room with one of her hands raised, like she wanted to knock.
Emily?
She lifted her head up, her blue orbs looking at you. You couldn't see it in her eyes. You could see it in her eyes. She was scared. She quickly looked down and started walking past you. You grabbed her wrist and yanked her hand. You could tell something was wrong, and you fully intended to find out what.
Emily, what's wrong?
You asked, but she kept her gaze on the ground, refusing to look at you. You repeated yourself.
Emily, what's wrong?
She muttered something, but you didn't hear it. You knelt down so that your eyes would be at the same height as hers.
What's wrong?
You said, with a sad tone.
He doesn't like you.
She said quietly.
What?
You asked, confused.
He doesn't like you, and he told me not to talk to you or else.
She whispered, still not looking at you, her eyes filling with tears. Who does he think he is? You thought to yourself, feeling anger, the anger boiling up in you.
Or else what?
You asked.
I don't know. He seemed very angry that you told Mom and Dad and that they called the police.
Your eyes widened. He can be exploding from anger for all you care. But you weren't gonna let him threaten your little sister.
Don't worry, it's going to be fine. You're going to be alright. I'm not gonna let anything happen to you.
You said, hugging her. Emily hugged you back and started crying. You could feel her hot tears on your cheek. You tightened your grip.
I'm scared,
she whispered.
Don't worry. If he tries something, I'm gonna hit him with Dad's baseball bat.
You said with a small smile. She laughed a bit.
If I see him, I'll come to your room and tell you. Let me repeat that sentence, sorry. Characters. Okay, continuing. If I see him, I'll come to your room and tell you. Sounds like a plan.
You say, getting up. She gave you a wave and entered her room, closing the door behind her. She's very brave, you thought. Even though you said that you'll protect her, you were not so sure in your own strength. Time lapse. Thud. You suddenly opened your eyes. You have fallen asleep. You promised yourself you were not going to sleep. That you would stay awake for Emily. But the tiredness from the last sleepless night got the better of you. But what woke you up? There it is again. It sounds like it's coming from behind the wall. This is separating your room from Emily's. You listen closely. You can hear something faint, quietly yet distinct. Every muscle in your body tensed. I told you not to talk to her, but you just wouldn't listen. Now I have to punish you. A hysterical yet quiet laughter could be heard from outside the other wall. Your eyes widened in fear. Too bad your sister isn't here to see this, the voice you could have recognized anywhere said. You heard an even louder laughter, which sent chills down your spine. Oh, the look on her face would be hilarious. You jumped from your bed, suddenly realizing you couldn't move, and dashed out of the room. Time seemed to slow down as you opened the door that led to your sister's room. You blinked a few times, waiting for your eyes to adjust to the darkness. Then you saw them, your sister and the clown, his claw-like fingers holding her by the throat. High above the ground, her legs are thrashing, and her fingers are trying to pry his hand off her. To no avail. Gasps are heard coming from her mouth, her lungs desperate for air. The moment you entered, he turned his head towards you, a surprised look on his face. But it was soon replaced with a frantic look in his black eyes and a chilling grin. Well, look who's here. Well, look who's here. He stopped the recording.
Okay, so next chapter. Chapter 5.
Well, look who's here, he says, his lip curling into a huge grin, revealing a pair of abnormally sharp teeth. I was already afraid you wouldn't come to our little party. Come on, Tony, come on, I gotta start over.
Then we start over the whole thing.
What part?
The whole thing.
We can't. No?
Okay, restarting the whole sentence. Sorry guys, he's just kind of confused on his voice.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're just gonna reread this part again.
Chapter 5. Well, look who's here, he says, his lip curling into a huge grin, revealing a pair of abnormally sharp teeth. I was afraid you weren't going to come to our little party, he said, a small chuckle escaping from his throat. He looked at your hand and giggled. What is this? No baseball bat will hit me with that. Wait, to hit me with? He asked, trying to contain his urge to laugh. You are shocked that he knew about that. Was he listening to your conversation with Emily? Wouldn't that mean he was there, in the house? The thought alone of him being near you made your stomach turn. You came to face me, completely defenseless? He couldn't stop himself anymore and burst out in a hysterical laugh. You really stupid? He said, tilting his head back, still hysterically laughing. Emily looked at you, gasping for air, her eyes filled with tears.
Let her go!
You growled at him, trying to look fearsome, but inside you were trembling with fear. His laughter instantly increased, his ominous eyes glaring at you. Or what? He asked in a low and threatening voice. I could break your bones like this, he said, snapping his fingers of his free hand. So what you actually do to stop me? Really? Really? What am I going to do? You thought to yourself, frantically looking around the room, trying to find something that could help you defend from this colorless clown. Defeat this colorless clown. You are trembling. You feel powerless, like you can't do anything to help your sister. That's what I thought, he smirked and turned back to Emily. Now, where was I? Ah, yes, he laughed, lifting his free hand, ready to strike. his sharp and long nails shining in the moonlight. "That's coming through your window,"
No!
you screamed, dashing forward and extending your arms. You didn't know what were you doing? Or where did the sudden... You didn't know what you were doing, or where this sudden courage came from. But you felt you felt the adrenaline coursing through your veins. He quickly snapped his head back. His eyes widened in shock. You crashed into him, causing him to lose his balance and release Emily. Jack fell, his back hitting the cold, hard floor, with you on top of him. You felt his chest vibrate as he growled. Pushing yourself up, turned around to see Emily on her knees, holding her throat and coughing.
Emily, run!
You screamed, trying to catch your breath. You didn't have to tell her twice. She quickly got up to her feet and started running towards the door. You tried to do the same, but you felt a hand grab your ankle. Sorry.
Ankle.
You tripped and fell, hitting the right side of your head on the floor, feeling your cheek tingle and starting to feel numb. You turned on your back just to see the clown on top of you. It's obvious that he is pissed off. You tried to push him away, but he grabbed your... Oh my God. I'm thinking so bad.
Continuing.
He grabbed your wrist and pinned your arm above your head. "The brat escaped," the clown whispered, looking in the way Emily ran off to. Then he lowered his gaze down, glaring at you. "You little," he snarled, then took a deep breath and smiled, revealing his razor-sharp teeth. "Your stupidity surprises me. It's too bad I have to kill you, though." You flinched and turned your head to the side as he traced his sharp razor nail along your neck, almost penetrating your skin. He chuckled at your reaction and said to himself, "Now, should I slit your throat or tear your heart out?" Your body started trembling. You never felt like this before, so helpless as you waited your fate. You wanted to scream, to thrash around, to escape, but you froze, not able to move. "What? Aren't you going to scream? Oh, you're no fun at all." The clown laughed. He suddenly lifted his head and looked at the door, a frown appearing on his face. He then looked down at you and huffled, "Not enough time." And with that, he disappeared. Just like that, you lifted yourself up a little, supporting your weight on your elbow, and glanced around the room. He is nowhere to be seen. Your father appeared on the door, with a baseball bat in his hands. Looking around the room, your mother ran past him and kneeled down right beside you.
Shadow Eyes, are you alright?
Your mother exclaimed. "What happened? Where is he?" your father asked, stepping into the room. Emily's head peeked into the room as she whispered,
He was right here.
"Shadow Eyes, where is he?" Your father repeated this question.
He disappeared.
You mumbled.
What?
"What? He just disappeared?"
He just disappeared. Sorry guys, mix up on characters. Okay, continuing. Let me read that little part.
Okay. "What?"
He just disappeared.
You said, confused. It was then that you realized you weren't just dealing with a human being.
Well guys, thank you for reading or listening, and that
Sorry
was...
for all the mess up.
Yeah, we kind of had a hard time with the characters and stuff, because, like, mainly this is my second story I'm recording, because I've been told that you guys wanted some more videos and stories to be read. So I decided to do this one with my friend, because she really wanted to try out these stories. And so he wanted to do this first one, and he wanted to do it with me, because, yeah, he wanted to read Laughing Jack and stuff, yeah. we both just read, and got confused, and yeah, so we had kind of turns. So sorry for that, and we'll try for the next part not to do as much, confusion with you guys, reading badly. So yeah, just leave, subscribe and comment and leave a good like, because you'll be knowing for part 2. And sorry if I said part 2 or part 3, whatever I said from one of the chapters. I'm so sorry. I got confused of that too, so yeah. So, well, see you guys next time, because I'll be posting this one now on Fridays with my friends. So Fridays you'll be hearing this one. So yeah.
I'm sorry for the voices. I tried not to sound too Mexican.
I'm so sorry, guys. Okay, so yeah. I'll see ya, and
bye.
Yeah, see you next Friday. Yeah, go Friday.